Imagine waking up in a world where one empire controls almost everything you know. Its armies are feared across the continents. Its roads connect thousands of miles of land. Its cities are filled with magnificent temples, towering monuments, and crowded marketplaces. Millions of people speak its language, obey its laws, and believe its power will last forever. That empire was Rome. For centuries, the Roman Empire seemed unstoppable. It conquered kingdoms, defeated powerful enemies, and built one of the greatest civilizations in human history. But then something changed. The empire that once ruled nearly the entire known world slowly began to crumble, not because of one battle, not because of one emperor, but because of a series of mistakes that grew larger with every passing generation. How could the most powerful empire in the history collapse? And could the same warning signs be seen in the modern world today? This is the incredible story of the rise and fall of the Roman Empire. More than 2700 years ago, on the banks of the Tiber River in central Italy, a small settlement began to grow. According to Roman legend, the city was founded in 753 BC by two twin brothers, Romulus and Remus, who had been raised by a sea wolf after being abandoned as babies. Whether the story is true or not, Rome's real history was just as remarkable. What started as a tiny village slowly transformed into a powerful city. The Romans were not the richest people, they were not the largest kingdom, but they possessed something many others lacked: discipline, determination, and an extraordinary ability to learn from both victory and defeat. Every time Rome lost a battle, it adapted. Every defeat became a lesson. Every challenge made it stronger. As neighboring kingdoms fought among themselves, Rome steadily expanded its influence across the Italian peninsula. Soon, one city became an entire republic. Unlike many kingdoms ruled by a single king, Rome developed a political system where elected officials and the Senate shared power. Although far from perfect, the system gave Rome greater stability than many of its rivals. But the real strength of Rome was not its government, it was its people. Roman soldiers trained harder than almost any army of their time. Their discipline became legendary. A Roman legion could march for days, build fortified camps overnight, and defeat enemies that often outnumbered them. They fought not only with courage but with organization. Every soldier understood this role. Every commander followed carefully planned strategies. This military machine allowed Rome to defeat one rival after another. Soon, the Republic faced its greatest enemy, the mighty city of Carthage. Located in North Africa, Carthage controlled much of the Mediterranean Sea. Its famous general Hannibal shocked the world by leading thousands of soldiers and even war elephants across the Alps into Italy. Many believed Rome would finally fall, but Rome refused to surrender. Even after devastating defeats, the Romans rebuilt their armies again and again. Years later, they struck back. Under the brilliant leadership of General Scipio Africanus, Rome defeated Hannibal and destroyed Carthage forever. With its greatest rival gone, Rome became the dominant power of the Mediterranean. Victory brought unimaginable wealth: gold, silver, grain, and valuable goods poured into Roman cities. Trade flourished, new roads stretched across the empire. Massive aqueducts carried fresh water into growing cities. Magnificent temples rose toward the sky. The Colosseum became a symbol of Roman engineering. Thousands gathered to watch gladiators fight beneath its towering walls. To many people living at the time, Rome seemed invincible. Its armies guarded borders stretching thousands of miles. Its laws shaped everyday life. Its engineers built structures so advanced that many still stand today. People believed the empire would rule forever, but history has taught us one important lesson. No empire remains at its peak forever. While Rome celebrated its victories, the firecracks had already begun to appear. Small problems that future generations would ignore until they became impossible to stop, and those tiny cracks would eventually bring the greatest empire on earth to its knees. As Rome's borders expanded, so did its ambition. The Republic had become the most powerful state in the Mediterranean, but with great success came something equally dangerous: power. Rome's greatest generals were no longer satisfied with serving the Republic. Many wanted to rule it. One of those men was Julius Caesar. A brilliant military commander, Caesar conquered vast territories including much of Gaul, modern-day France and parts of Belgium. His victories made him incredibly popular with the people, but they also frightened the Roman Senate. Many senators believed Caesar had become too powerful. In 49 BC, he made a decision that changed history forever. He marched his army across the Rubicon River. No Roman general was allowed to enter Italy with an army. Crossing the Rubicon was an act of rebellion. A civil war followed. Caesar emerged victorious and declared himself dictator for life. To many Romans, he was a hero. To others, he was becoming a king. Feared the end of the Republic, a group of senators plotted against him. On the 15th of March, 44 BC, known as the Ides of March, Julius Caesar was stabbed to death inside the Senate. His assassins believed they had saved Rome. Instead, they pushed it into even greater chaos. Years of civil war followed. Eventually, Caesars adopted their Octavian defeated every rival. In 27 BC, he became Rome's first emperor. History remembers him as Augustus. Under Augustus, Rome entered one of the greatest periods any civilization has ever experienced. It became known as the Pax Romana, the Roman peace. For nearly 200 years, the empire enjoyed remarkable stability. Trade flourished across 3 continents. Merchants traveled safely along Roman roads that stretched for tens of thousands of miles. Ships crossed the Mediterranean carrying grain from Egypt, silk from Asia, spices from the east, and precious metals from distant provinces. Rome became one of the largest and richest cities in the world. Its population reached over 1 million people. Fresh water flowed through massive aqueducts. Public baths, libraries, theaters, and markets become part of daily life. Engineers built roads so strong that many survive even today. Roman law became the foundation of legal systems that still influence countries around the world. To millions of people, Rome seemed unstoppable. But beneath the beauty, beneath the wealth, and beneath the magnificent marble buildings, small cracks were quietly growing. The empire had become so enormous that protecting it became increasingly difficult. Its borders stretched across deserts, mountains, forests, and rivers. Every mile required soldiers, every province required governors, every city required taxes. Maintaining such a vast empire became incredibly expensive. As military costs increased, emperors demanded more money from the people. Taxes became heavier. Many farmers struggled to survive. Some abandoned their land completely. At the same time, the gap between the rich and the poor continued to grow. Powerful landowners accumulated enormous wealth. Meanwhile, ordinary citizens found life becoming harder every year. Even the Roman army began to change. In earlier generations, soldiers fought proudly for Rome, but as time passed, recruiting enough Roman citizens became more difficult. The empire increasingly depended on foreign mercenaries, soldiers who fought for money rather than loyalty. It solved a short term problem but created a far more dangerous one for the future. Even worse, the question of the who should become emperor often had no clear answer. Instead of peaceful transitions, powerful generals began fighting each other for the throne. Civil wars erupted again and again. Armies that should have defended Rome's borders were now fighting fellow Romans. The empire was not only losing strength against its enemies, it was slowly weakening itself from within. The golden age of Rome still looked magnificent to the outside world. The cities remained crowded, the monuments still stood proudly, the armies still marched beneath their famous eagle banners, but appearances can be deceiving. An empire does not collapse the moment people notice its problems. It begins collapsing long before anyone realizes the danger, and for Rome, the most difficult years were still to come. By the 3rd century AD, the Roman Empire was no longer the confident superpower it had once been. From the outside, its grand cities, mighty walls, and disciplined armies still projected strength, but inside, the empire was falling apart. One emperor after another rose to power, only to be overthrown, assassinated, or defeated in civil war. In just 50 years, more than 20 emperors claimed the throne. Many ruled for only a few months. Some never even reached Rome before being killed by their own soldiers. The empire was trapped in a cycle of chaos. Instead of protecting the people, armies were busy fighting each other. Every civil war drained Rome's wealth, weakened its borders, and left its citizens exhausted. Then came another crisis. Money itself began to lose its value. To pay for the enormous military and the growing government, emperors reduced the amount of silver in Roman coins. At first, few people noticed, but over time, confidence in the currency collapsed. Prices rose rapidly, food became more expensive, ordinary families struggled to afford everyday necessities, trade slowed, businesses failed, many people abandoned the cities and returned to the countryside simply to survive. It was an economic crisis unlike anything Rome had experienced before. As if this was not enough, disease swept across the empire. Deadly epidemics spread through crowded cities and military camps. Thousands died. Some historians believe entire communities disappeared. With fewer taxpayers, the government collected less money. With fewer soldiers, defending the empire became even harder. Every new problem made the next one worse. Then danger appeared beyond Rome's borders. For centuries, Germanic tribes had lived north of the empire. Many traded peacefully with Rome. Some even served in the Roman army. But during the 4th century, something unexpected changed everything. A powerful group of nomadic warriors known as the Huns swept across Europe. Their lightning fast attacks terrified everyone in their path. Entire tribes fled westward to escape them. Many sought refuge inside Roman territory. At first, Rome allowed some groups to enter, but corrupt Roman officials treated them unfairly. They demanded heavy payments for food. Some even sold starving families rotten supplies at outrageous prices. The separation soon turned into anger. Anger became rebellion. In AD 378, Roman forces met the Gothic army at the Battle of Adrianople. The Romans expected another easy victory. Instead, they suffered one of the worst defeats in their entire history. Emperor Valens was killed. Thousands of experienced Roman soldiers never returned their home. The battle shocked the empire. For the first time in centuries, Romans realized their legendary army was no longer unbeatable. More invasions followed. The empire's borders grew weaker every year. Villages were abandoned. Trade routes became dangerous. Fear spread across the provinces. Then came a moment few Romans believed they would ever witness. In AD 410, the city of Rome itself was attacked. For nearly 800 years, the eternal city had remained untouched by foreign enemies. Many believed its massive walls and glorious reputation made it invincible, but the Visigoths, led by King Alaric, marched through the gates. For 3 days, they looted the city. Homes, palaces, and temples were stripped of their treasures. Although much of Rome remained standing, the psychological impact was devastating. The impossible had happened. The city that had conquered countless nations had been conquered itself. Just the empire, hope began to fade. People no longer believed Rome would last forever. The dream of an eternal empire was beginning to disappear, and even darker days still lay ahead. By the middle of the 5th century, the Western Roman Empire was only a shadow of its former self. Its armies were smaller, its economy was exhausted, its government was deeply divided. The empire that had once ruled millions of people could no longer protect its own heartland. In AD 451, another terrifying threat appeared. Attila the Hun, known throughout Europe as the Scourge of God, Attila led one of the most feared armies in history. His warriors moved with incredible speed, burning villages and forcing entire populations to flee. Although Rome managed to stop Attila's advance into Gaul at the Battle of Catalaunian Plains, the victory came at a terrible cost. The empire had survived, but only just. Its strength was fading. Its enemies were growing bolder. Only a few years later, disasters struck again. In AD 455, the Vandals sailed across the Mediterranean and captured the city of Rome. For 2 weeks, they stripped the city of its treasures. Gold, silver, priceless artwork, and sacred objects were carried away. Although many buildings remained standing, the empire's reputation suffered another devastating blow. The old could now see what many Romans already knew: the empire was dying. Finally, in AD 400, history reached its turning point. A Germanic military leader named Odoacer removed the young Emperor Romulus Augustus from the throne. There was no great final battle, no dramatic last stand, no glorious farewell. The last emperor simply lost his crown. With that quiet moment, the Western Roman Empire officially came to an end. After more than 1,000 years of history, one of the greatest civilizations ever created had fallen. But Rome did not disappear overnight. The Eastern Roman Empire, ruled from Constantinople, continued for nearly another 1,000 years. Today, historians call it the Byzantine Empire. It preserved Roman law, culture, and knowledge through centuries of change. Meanwhile, in Western Europe, kingdoms rose from the ruins of the old empire. The old entered a new era, yet Rome's influence never truly vanished. Roman roads became the foundations of modern highways. Roman engineering inspired bridges, aqueducts, and public buildings for centuries. Roman law shaped legal systems across much of the world. Even today, many governments, languages, and cities still carry the fingerprints of ancient Rome. So, why did Rome really fall? Was it because of the barbarian invasions? Yes, but that was only part of the story. Was it because of the corrupt leaders? Yes, but that alone was not enough. Was it economic collapse, political instability, civil wars, disease, overexpansion? Again, yes, the truth is that Rome was not destroyed by one enemy. It was weakened by countless problems that slowly built upon one another over generations. Every crisis made the next one more difficult to solve. Every mistake left the empire a little weaker until one day it could no longer stand. History often teaches us that great civilization rarely collapse overnight. They slowly lose the qualities that made them strong in the first place. Strength becomes complacency, prosperity becomes inequality, unity becomes division, and confidence becomes overconfidence. Rome's story is not just about the past, it is a reminder for every nation, every society, and every generation. No empire is too powerful to fail. No civilization is guaranteed to last forever. The Roman Empire may have fallen nearly 15 centuries ago, but its greatest lesson still echoes through history. The strongest nations are not those that never face challenges. They are the ones that recognize their weaknesses before those weaknesses become impossible to repair. Because in the end, empires are not only conquered from the outside, sometimes they collapse from within. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through history, don't forget to subscribe for more cinematic stories about the greatest civilizations, mysteries, and events that shaped our world. Because history is more than a collection of dates, it is the story of us.